So for our last question here, it's from you, Christian. And yeah, so we're going to go back. And we have, how can I approach my local game stores in the area and try and host 1K events? What kind of relationship needs to be built before that? Is it worth showing the data from other 1K events and happening in the nation? Well, here's what I can tell you from my experience, because I am frustrated. It's not even a word, in all honesty. Like, I am really upset with the way that our local stores have been acting lately. We had a conversation about it the other day in our team chat and Discord, but we have 3 or 4 different stores, like within a half hour of me, that all had very successful releases. They all had product they sold. They all had starter deck events with 30, 40, 50 plus people. They're running league nights that were having, 15, 20, 30 people. And it was all these good things, but they have done nothing. And over the course of the weeks, we have seen league numbers drop and drop and drop because people have been asking, like, hey, when are we gonna play for something? Like, and I'm not saying this is every community, but I can tell you that the Philadelphia community is a competitive one. Like, we like to play for something. People aren't always just going to show up to play a pack per win or to say I'm going to pay $10 and get my 2 packs. Like, we want to play for something. And if you have a community that's telling you, I want to play for something, you should listen. And like, where I'm at, I don't need to necessarily play for product either. Like, store credit is nice because it means that there's a concept that I can use the store credit later to buy the next set or to buy cards when they come in. But the other thing that stores can be doing is, we just saw it in Tampa Bay. They bought a Nintendo Switch and they said, hey, we're going to play for Nintendo Switch. Christian made a joke about a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, I'm not saying that
I'd be practicing for that event, my guy. Let me tell you, you
Talk
would
to
not see me
Fry,
below
'cause
the
it's right
top
next
4.
door.
I know it is. It's tempting.
I'm not saying you need to do those things, but as a store, you can go on, you can buy singles and just promote your event for singles. You can buy the cheapest enchanted that you can find and say, hey, this is what we're playing for today. So it's not even that you, quote, need sealed product to host events. You just need some type of greater incentive. And none of the stores in Philadelphia have at all tried to attempt that yet. And it's been so frustrating for me as a player because I want to play the game. And the first opportunity I've had to play the game since starter deck weekend would have been tomorrow, but I would have literally had to drive 90 minutes away to play an event that actually sold out at 60 players, and I missed I forgot to pre-register, so I can't play now. So that's a big old bummer on my end, but it's one of those where it's like, I can't believe that I have 4 or 5 stores in a 30-minute range of me, and none of them have done anything whatsoever other than host some casual league nights with all their player base saying we want more, and no one's done anything. So I think it's really tough. I think it's one of those where I don't even know the relationships matter. I just think they need to be willing to do it. And from my point of view, anyone that's running a game store that can't see what Lorcana is already doing is astonishing, because they're just missing out on the opportunity to grow the community. In all honesty, like, there's been articles about this. There's been other YouTube content creators that talking about these things, but like, all those stores that like sold their boxes at like ridiculous prices and then didn't build any community, like, or anything like that, like, they're missing out on the overall the long game of this is not 6 months. It was never going to be that. So everyone playing it the way they did just made it worse for themselves overall, which really sucks because, again, now you have all these stores with no product. They're going to league. You guys are already doing. You're going to league night with IOUs and things like that. And now we're just sitting here going, well, I like, how many times do I really want to play for 0 packs? And it's just frustrating.
Yeah. It's a reasonable thing to be frustrated about, right? Because that's a cultivated thing in the TCG community, is that, it's fun to play league and, the casual weekday events, but having these bigger tournaments to strive to is kind of part of the experience, right? It's just something, right? Whether it is like a Switch or a B-Dubs gift card, or even or an Enchanted. Like, there's a 1K in Wisconsin, so it's pretty far from us. But they were, the whole tournament it's the first place prize is an Enchanted Wayward Sorcerer Mickey, and then second place is like $180, right? So like the payout is like there, and especially like I guess for me, I'm more shocked that game stores, like you said, don't want to like lead into that. Like like what's like the common 1K price point of entry, like 20-30 bucks to like
20, 30
enter.
bucks, yeah.
20-30 bucks, right? So like if you get, if you have 30, if you spend if it's $30 entry for $1,000 worth of prizes between, top eight, you get 30 players, that's what, 900 bucks or so. So you
Yeah,
need to get a little bit more than that. But like if your league nights are like 30 players, I mean,
right.
imagine how many people you're gonna get for,
Well, not even that.
those types
And
of events, right?
I think this is what stores are missing out on. So you have 38 players that go to your league night. Let's just
Yeah.
say, I don't know, let's say 20% of those players don't want to play competitively, right?
Mhm.
Let's just assume that. So we just cut out 20%. But what about the other players at other stores around the area that don't want to drive to your league night, but they'll
Yeah.
drive to play in a 1K? Like, I'll drive an hour to play in a 1K. I'll drive 2 hours to play in a 1K. Like, yeah, like I'm
I
willing to
yeah.
do those things. So how many of those players do you get to come to your store? Because I mean, I can tell you that, the store tomorrow, the Bearded Dragon that has a 1K, they don't have 60-person league nights, but they just sold 60 seats to play in a 1K tomorrow. So if you're
There we go.
looking for it, it's like it's there. Like there's all these proof of concepts all over the nation already. So the
Yeah.
information is there, and I do think it is one of those that, if you're trying to build a relationship, you're just trying to show them information. Like, hey, listen, like here's this thing in Miami, they had 45 players. Here's this thing in Atlanta, they had 53 players. Here's this other thing, they had 34 players. Like all these successful stories already, and that's within the first 3 weeks of the game. Like, it's
Yeah.
only going to get bigger. So I don't know.
It
Hard to say.
There's also a notoriety, right? Like, if you're, like, one of the first, we kinda talked about earlier about, like, it doesn't matter being the first at something, but if you're one of the first 10 stores that, are hosting 1K events, that means something, right,
Yeah.
for the future of the game, right?
Right.
And your placement of it, right? Like, that means something.
Right. Okay. So that was our questions, which lasted way longer than I thought. So let's get into the main port here. And today we're going to be discussing local gameplay, obviously. And I did this all wrong, so hold please. Let's skip back and we'll just okay, cool. And then we'll go back to this, right? And we'll look at this. And there's been local stores all throughout the nation that I think have been doing some incredible things. The first one I had seen this week on Facebook was Omega Gaming in Houston, Texas, and they had a 26. They're having 26-person locals. They're playing 5 rounds at their at their league nights, which is
Fall
pretty
around.
crazy because you already have like these decks that they're showcasing now, and I know there's always this discussion around how much information is worth really discussing, but if you're playing in a 5-round tournament with 26 players, like 4-1 and 5-0 is successful enough to at least discuss the decks and things like that. So this is
Absolutely.
another great piece of information for people to be looking at because it's like, oh, well, like 26 players, like it's not 5, it's not 10, it's 26 players. In
Uh-huh.
in games, I guess here's a good question, right? So the last game that you guys played, right? Christian, for you, it's Digimon. So how many players were coming to like your Digimon locals, or did you even have Digimon locals?
Oh, yeah, there's Digimon locals. Digimon was actually, I think Minnesota was probably one of the more popular states in the nation for Digimon. We had quite a few players that were like regional and national topping players, like,
Okay.
top 8, top 4 players. So it had a pretty big scene, very competitive. I'd say locals were at least like 20 to 35 players in
Right,
some areas.
but like that's what you're just saying, right? 20 to 35 players. And
Yeah,
you're saying
exactly.
that's a good number, right?
That's a great number. It's a
Right.
great number.
So
Yeah,
when did you get into Digimon? Was it like 20 to 35 players very early on, or did it grow into that?
it grew into that. It
Right. So
definitely
we're
grew into
talking
that.
now, we're already at that in Lorcana.
Yeah.
Weeks into the game, and we're already at that level. So people are like, they're really disregarding this information, but information is information, period, no matter which way you look at it. B,
That's
you have to understand that this isn't Magic the Gathering yet. You're not going to have, I mean, we're already getting 60-person 1Ks. So, like, that's already comparable to like SCG events, like in stores that they play and like their regionals and things like that. Like, 60
yeah.
to 80 to 90 is like a pretty normal number. So, if you're already hitting that number locally, but in your FNMs, like what are your FNMs numbers? Like Smurf would have an idea. What is your local FNM looking like?
At this point, we're talking like a quarter of your Lorcana numbers at this point.
That's
Like
bad.
we're getting like 8 to 10 people on a good day.
Right. So 8 to 10 people in a 25, 30 or whatever old the game is now. I've lost track at this point. But the point is that Lorcana is hype and
Yeah.
26 person locals on like a Wednesday night or whatever it is, like 26 people on a random weeknight. That's impressive. And I think it needs to be touted about.
Yeah.
It does. Absolutely.
So yeah, these were some of the decks that were showcased in that. Ironically, we did have I talked about the Ruby Emerald deck here in the last video. This is, is this something similar to what you're building towards, Smurf, in this Amethyst Steel list you were talking about earlier?
Kind of. Like I actually think I have everything where I could build that specific build, other than the big Elsas.
Mm-hmm.
But the big Elsa, at least for me, doesn't necessarily fit how I like playing the game. So I've tried to go more away from that and focus more on just the attrition plan.
Mm-hmm. Fair, but still.
But yeah, that would be like if you're looking to build the meta Amethyst Steel list, that's what I would build towards.
Sure. But yeah, and then we can still see like a development here. Like now a couple of these decks, like really realistically 3 of these decks, like all 3 of these first 3 decks are decks that like haven't had mainstream success in 1Ks and above and things like that. And these, they've had like 1 of deck or 2 of deck, like something like that, like a low number of representation. But you can see at a league night with 26 players, well, we went 4-1, 4-1, and 4-1. We'd be in top 8 of whatever that tournament was, Yep. And then of course we see, pretty much the almost card for card with the new cat with Captain Hook, Happy Thoughts instead of whatever inserted into the songs deck. But nonetheless, like these are really cool to see. It's really exciting to see these type of numbers again a month into the game at local nights that you're going to. Like I would kill to go to a local night and play a 5-round event on a weeknight if I had the time to do it. It'd be great to do it. I would love to do that on like a Saturday morning though. Like I'm all about those concepts. But it's really interesting to see that it's already going that far, and this is just like literally one moment of this, right? Because we're going to talk about you guys now. And I'm going to give you guys, the opportunity to really just give credit to your store and things like that. But you guys are from Tabletop Tournaments in Crystal, Minnesota. I hope I got all that right. I asked Smurf, he told me yes. You guys, your store made a graphic for it. Like you're committed. But talk to me about the last couple weeks for your league play. Smurf, you were the first one to report it, so we're going to put Christian aside and let you discuss it first.
As it should be.
Yeah, so Tabletop's like been my home store, I would call it, for like probably close to since they opened. We just had the 10-year anniversary party, I think last month, which was a good time. But yeah, so I know the managers, I know the owner, a lot of good guys. I've been helping them out with stuff, getting stuff going, and I've been really appreciative with the Lorcana stuff, that they've been willing to help me acquire the metagame data. They send me the picture. They always do a thing where they take a picture before the tournaments we got this many players for the event, everyone have fun. And it's always just seeing that place as a full house again is something that I haven't seen for a while, since the Magic popularity has kind of died down. And I don't go to the Yu-Gi-Oh nights, but I know they're one of the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh stores in the state as well. But personally, not seeing that store as a full house until Lorcana again, it's been really refreshing and a good sign to see. Because I mean, we all played card games through the pandemic over webcam, but that time for game stores was not a very easy time. And
a lot of crashing and burns for sure.
And seeing the store that made it through it and is still going strong and is willing to help its player base. And I mean, one of the managers, his reaction when he found out that we were having big enough tournaments to have relevant data was overjoyed. I left the store that night and they were making a phone call to the owner like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting so many people," like just couldn't contain the excitement and all this stuff, and it's just we get new players, we get competitive players, we get the old players I haven't seen play a tournament after they left Magic and stuff coming back for this game, and it's just like catching up with old friends.
Nice. So talk to me about the events, Christian. You've been doing fairly well if I've recalled the information correctly.
Yeah, I have done fairly well, thankfully. It's been interesting. It's kind of like what we talked about before, like what type of like mix of like player base are we getting, right? When you get the, like what was it, 2 weeks ago we had 40 players at the at the
Yes.
league. That's a lot of different players there. We had a lot of I brought 2 brand new people to the game there myself that night. There's a lot of new players, but there's a lot of people that have been playing on Pixelborn and had the collections and was in selling like structure decks that like they had, and like they were like selling discounted structure decks and singles, and having that kind of mix of play experience was nice to see, right? Like I play pretty competitively. I want to, I try to do the best I can at every event I go to. um and I think what's nice about these league events too being so big is there's a lot of room for you as a player to go with certain goals in mind, right? Like if you're a new player, your goal shouldn't be to go undefeated, for the whole game if you don't even have the full collection, right? But going there with the notion of like, okay, I'm coming with an updated starter deck. I want to try to at least go to a game 3, right? Or win a game, right? Win a match, right? And if you get there, that's a huge goal, right? For that player. Um, and you kind of see that, like, in the first round, right? There's a lot of those, newer people, but as you get more and more, then you really get to, like, the people that have been playing for, 100 games on Pixelborn and, all that stuff. And it's a nice breadth of competition and just kind of people to enjoy the game with, right? Outside of just the competitive experience, right? And all the very competitive people, because you've kind of experienced that. Sometimes competitive trading card game players can sometimes get a kind of weird or bad rep
Yeah.
personality wise, right? And, and I've never experienced that yet in this game. Every like undefeated player that I've played against in this game, or top table player, has been very kind,
Yep.
courteous, laughing, fun. It's been kind of a breath of fresh air, honestly.
That Disney
Like I
magic.
can it's that Disney magic, man. Like, there I don't think I would ever bring my wife to a Digimon or a Yu-Gi-Oh, or my kids to like, these weeknight game like tournaments for those games. But, I've seen people bring like their 8, 9, 10-year-olds to league play and like, getting excited, and it's a lot of fun. One of the funnest things that TTT does that is my frame that doesn't really pertain to competitions at all is how they do the promos. They give out 8 promos every night, or yeah, every
Yeah.
weeknight. And my favorite way they do it is, instead of whoever gets at the top table and league points do it, they have every player that's there tonight. They got a big old wheel that they spin, and any person can get a chance at getting the pin or the card, and it gets excitement because everyone stops playing on the final round and has to watch the TV, and everyone gets real excited. It's a good time,
It
but
is.
yeah, but in terms of competition, you see also a lot of people that are there to do as well as they can, and the competition, when you want to find it, can get pretty intense, which is nice as well. It's good practice, for
The
lack of a
other
word.
the other thing is like what you were saying. Like there's the good players, like the well experienced players aren't like they don't have the traditional stigma you would think of. In fact, a lot
Yeah,
of them are like a good wealth of knowledge, and a lot of people are willing to give that knowledge. Like if you're just building
yeah,
a deck and you want feedback, hey, I'm missing this cards. What do you think I should acquire for this deck? Or how do you think I can update it? Christian was doing that with players literally on Wednesday, like was giving feedback and saying, hey, let me see your collection. Okay, well, here's some changes you can make with what you have. It's not you don't have to necessarily buy cards, but it's like here's what you have. Here's how we can already make improvements. Or if you are grabbing stuff, hey, maybe Robin Hood's good in your Sapphire deck, and you're not playing those. Maybe your deck doesn't need one jump ahead, and you should be playing Phil in that slot instead because you're already playing Grandma Talas and Mickey's, stuff like that.
Nice.
yeah.
If you're hanging out in chat and you want to shout out your local store and give me the numbers, we'll definitely talk about it. We'll add it to the chat. Again, Maddie's hanging out with us, talking about his kids playing in the game. I gotta reciprocate. I don't have that. My kids, they don't seem very interested in it, but it has been really really nice to have my wife quite interested into it. Kylie has had a lot of fun with the cards. Obviously huge, Disney adults, which is funny because we've talked about the Disney adults on the channel before in other medias, and I'm definitely a Disney adult, but Christian, you're still a Disney kid, so like
in some circles I am. Yes, it's true. Every week, it's like every other day I'll say something and I make the whole I turn wrinkles in the Discord. Like, what do you mean you're that young? What do you mean What do you mean you were born 5 years after The Great Mouse Detective was made, Christian?
Exactly. You're like,
Christian,
what is this movie?
I didn't tell you this. Literally, to quote my sister on our way home Wednesday, she's like, "Yeah, he made me feel old. He's like 2 or 3 years older than me, and he's got kids and a wife and a house."
Yeah.
I don't have a house. So there's that. Shout out to my boy Devin real quick in the YouTube chats. He was one of the players that is new to the game that's been really excited to play. Went with to TTT and was just at my house 2 minutes ago. So my boy Devin, I love that guy.
There you go. Shout out to Jeff here. Geeks and Games in Oregon City, Oregon. Usually has around 20 to show up for open play. That's awesome. Love to hear it. Love to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we have a couple, particularly, we have 2 deck lists here to look at from, I think this was your first week of locals that you sent me.
This
might
be last week.
Okay, it might be last. So shout out to the sweet Alpha Trion playmat here. I don't know who designed that. That guy is awesome, though, clearly.
Yeah, I was thinking about throwing it away, actually. It's just really cool.
The dice are pretty good, too.
It's toxic. If you need dice, I got you, bro. I promise. Still have dice. Yeah,
in case you're wondering whose playmat that is.
Hold, please. We're gonna hold on. Bring it back. You're right.
You're right. Here, let me get back a little bit more. There it is.
We gotta make you solo. Here we go. There you go.
There she is. This is one of my favorite playmats I got from APP. I bust this out all the time. I love this one. This one's the best looking one, I think.
That's a good one. I don't know. I was pretty proud of quite a few of them, if I'm being honest.
You should have been. They were fire.
Yeah, they were.
But so yeah. So Christian, this was the deck that you played this week. As we discussed a little bit, you didn't have the Mickey Broom combo. You're playing a little more into the evasive strategy and things like that. It seems. Aside from that, looks like a pretty run of the mill. It's like nothing too crazy. Just trying out some evasive stuff, which I like. Talk to me. Did you happen to play this opponent on the side, or did either one of you play the opponent here to the right?
No, I did not play Vince.
I did not. I played against one of the other undefeated Ruby Amethyst, and we went to 3 games with Steel Amethyst versus Ruby Amethyst. So
okay.
Yeah, I was watching his games. I believe he played 2 Amber Steel songs list.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean his he's got the 4 Hades. It to me it's pretty standard. He's got everything that I would probably have as well. He's very committed to the ramp package there. He's got 4 ramp cards. That's Eye of the Fate, right? So that's not quills. We don't have quill or anything like that, but
no quill. Got Eye of the Fates for
I see
Hades.
12. I see 4 Mickey, 4 Tala, 4 1 jump. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bell is technically one also. So
16 essentially.
Nothing
if we want to talk about budget decks, this is not a budget deck. This is not the budget deck you should be striving for.
This is very, very far from budget.
Arguably, this is probably more expensive than Amethyst Ruby. Looking at it.
I think it is, because I mean the Hades are like $30 a pop. The Bells are $45-$50 a pop. Let It Go is almost a $10 card now.
Yeah, understandably, it's a good card.
So yeah, I mean Ursula's gonna be scratching $20 soon. This is definitely an expensive deck. There's no doubt about that.
It's a cool deck though.
So yeah,
Big fan of it.
Again, I think it's cool. Shout out to you guys with. You said you had 38 players a couple weeks ago. You had about 30 players this week. You have a Win-A-Box tournament coming up. Is that in the store?
Yep, that's this week.
It is.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's great that you guys are, finding the community again. And just for reference, like how far apart are you two that like you have to drive to the store on your Wednesday night?
10 minutes.
Okay.
If that.
35 for me.
Okay. So
If
35
there's
on
no
a.
traffic. If there's no traffic.
Okay. Okay.
So sometimes between 35 to 50, depending on the traffic. But it's still closer than when I played Transformers, because this place also played Transformers, and I went here not as often because it was quite a bit farther. It was like an hour 15 one way to get there. And it was like you play at 7 p.m. It's like that's a late night,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a lot
That's
better
like getting home
now.
at midnight.
Yeah, it was rough.
That's what he's going to be probably doing on Wednesday when he plays for the box late night.
Yeah, you bet I will be. I already told my wife, like, hey, listen, I'm gonna be there. I'm sorry. All right. I gotta try to win the box,
So we have
I have to
Quentin
try.
Young, Central Illinois area, just for fun games, 10 to 18 people, and then each week and Week in Zeke's, I think that's how that goes, as about 15 to 25. Zeke's is doing 18-person casual tournaments next week, actually, so that's cool. Again, I think it's really cool to see these type of numbers this early is great, especially on weeknights. I mean, weeknights is not something everyone can do, so it's pretty difficult to commit to that. Again, like Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, like they're definitely more accessible, I think, for more people. Like for me, like the closest store that's like in Philadelphia is doing like Tuesday nights, and I have not been able to make a single Tuesday night league night because it's like, yeah, it's Tuesday night. I can't make it there. I'm working until whatever time, or just it's tough. Like weeknights are tough, but we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be interesting moving forward. But again, I think it's really great that you guys found the store that you can already enjoy the game. Is there any other stores in the Minnesota area that you're also kind of like picking up on it?
There's a lot of stores. I think Christian's been doing more traveling.
I have been. Yeah, I've been experiencing some other stores when I get the chance to, because sometimes I can't always make it to TTT, but I try to make it at least once a week, and so the Facebook page has a big list, like it's the front cover of the Facebook page of all the stores in the state that have league nights or certain events or whatever. And like the list is very big. It is roughly
it's a whole Excel spreadsheet.
Is it 29 different stores in the state that you can go to?
That's impressive.
It's a lot of stores, and they have the list of like what's the cost, what's the price structure, time, city. It's very nice.
Whoever organizes your Facebook is way better than I am.
I'm gonna send you I'm gonna send it to you on Discord.
I will probably steal it and use it for my own Philadelphia area. So
it's honestly the best, because you just have this spreadsheet like, oh man, it's a Thursday night, it's 4, I kind of want to go play some Lorcana. What's around me? And you go to the spreadsheet. It's like, wow. And it's all color coded by days as well. It's pretty nice. But it's awesome. And they do a great job organizing it. So we have let's see. Is there any other stores? Level Up Games in Minneapolis is also a great store. As well. They just had a win a box, I think, a few days ago, actually. That I didn't even know about, which is crazy. There's a lot of events getting marketed on the Facebook page, so I tend to miss them all the time. But lot going on in Minnesota for Lorcana. It's pretty exciting over here.
Nice. That's good to hear. It's good to hear. So the last store we're going to be shouting out today is actually from our friends over at Live Laugh Lorcana. They have this store called For Horsemen Comics and Gaming. It's in Robinson Township, PA, which I think is like in the Pittsburgh area. But they, on their podcast this week, they actually interviewed their LGS TO, which I thought was a really cool conversation. Honestly, if you haven't checked them out, I recommend checking them out. They're actually a really fun conversation. And in general, this particular episode discussed like his visual and his views of the his plan for league nights, which I thought was really cool. But the astounding number again was they had 40 players. Like they had 40 people showing up on Tuesday nights. Is that what it was? I think it was Tuesday nights. And they're just jamming games of Lorcana with 40 people on Tuesday night. Like that's crazy. Like it's really, really exciting to see how unbelievable this game is already getting at such a low level. And I think it's great because, we've had these 1K tournaments all throughout the nation already spread out. We've had several in Florida. We've had Atlanta. We've had Tennessee, technically Denver. For me, we have one in New Jersey tomorrow. We have stuff in Massachusetts. Like I've been hearing, in our Discord, we we posted Nation, all over the stuff, like anywhere that you can find stuff, the Nation, and just to kind of see how crazy it's already been. It's really fun. It's really exciting. There's always like, oh, Ravensburger's not having official organized play. Who cares? Like, who cares? Like, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Like, you could go any weekend and drive and play Lorcana pretty much if you really wanted to. So I just wanted to give the shout out to the, these particular numbers that I've been hearing from these incredible local game stores that are definitely like committed to the game. And like, we didn't cover it just a little bit real quick. Like, your store ran out of product, right? But they're working on the system. So tell me a little bit about the system they're working on, because it might be something that other stores can utilize, in all honesty, for store owners that might watch the video.
Yeah, I can probably speak on this one. So basically the way it is they have a whole when you buy product at the store, you have the option to make like an account, and that gets you like discount codes, things like that. They have mystery boxes of like either sealed product or high-end cards organized by game that you can spend the points on, like kind of a rewards thing as like a thank you for supporting them. But in this account, they take your name down, or even I think for Lorcana, it's not even the account basis, just they take your name down, and your prize packs will be like jotted down. And once they receive all the product, and I quote, you will just be given a bunch of packs. Like, you'll just be given like a whole handful of packs if you got them all at once.
I mean, it's good. I mean, especially if we get to the point where, if we don't actually see that October product until, I don't know, the second or third week of October, you might be able to accrue 24 packs, and they're just like, hey, here's a booster box, right? Like, that'll feel great, right? Like, if you just hand that'll feel great. I'd be ecstatic about that.
Absolutely.
Well, especially when it gets to the point too where like you sometimes forget that you have all that product accrued, and you're just like, here you go, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, it's just one of those where it's like stores that aren't utilizing the game itself. It's really funny. Like, I'm gonna date Christian here again, but like, it almost feels like a League of Their Own. It's like, or no, not League of Their Own. The baseball. Oh my god! Now I messed up. I messed up the whole quote here. But it's like, if you build it, they will come. Field of Dreams. Woo! Not League of Their Own. Field of Dreams. Saved by Kylie. But seriously, the Lorcana is just, it's flourishing. And maybe it is the Disney magic. I don't know, but it's just like, people want to play the game. When you have this many people angry about not being able to find product, but still somehow playing the game in numbers of 30 and 40 people local game night for league play, I mean, it's crazy. It's really, really exciting, I think.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's a good time. It's a good time to be a card player right now, let me tell you.